Hello and welcome to this week's episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. We are getting to places that are deep, dark, and mysterious, and we're glad that you are here to join us and watch this train wreck unfold. I mean this joyous, happy adventure with happy people in a happy place doing happy things. And to remind us of those happy things, we're going to use the digital dice of destiny. We're going to roll it, and it is number 5. That is Adresai. Adresai, would you please, with your fancy new haircut, which looks ever so beautiful, by the way. I think it's very stunning. Take us in. What happened last week?
Last week, we were heading towards Sector 13, finally. We'd gotten an emergency message from this, who was probably being tortured or something other horrible thing right now, and we're sort of rushing to help him and possibly squash some Archon on the way. And... well, we pass this on the way. We're passing this sort of massive storm cloud that just keeps circling outside of land, over the sea. And Con went to check it out, and then it just sort of disappeared. Sort of possibly druid related, but no druid that we know with that level of power. Possibly one, but he's not very mobile usually. There was some dragon armor being created for Jorik, which is probably the first one to be made in a very long time. And then we did some scrying, which I'm sure was riveting viewing for everyone. Where we found where Ashra's daughter was after quite a few tries. And she's held up in some kind of cabal slave labor prison in southern Sajet on the border to the Chunglands. And then Adresai went to sleep because they had had a long day, and then there was a familiar voice in their head from a certain chaos deity from the, or something like it from within the book, certain Mr. Argyle. So we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely. So, you find yourselves aboard the Windswift as she gently rocks against the waves that lap against the side of her hull as she makes her way northward under the ever-watchful eye of Captain Ty, the totally and utterly enamored companion of Atramentum. What are you folks doing? Ball's in your court.
I seem to remember I was with my sister talking.
That's correct. You and Miran were sharing heart-to-heart moments about...
yes, finding out we had an asshole in the family. Or family. Yeah. So I'm probably still there.
Correct. All right.
Guess I would be dividing my time between watching whoever's helming the ship and studying in my infirmary.
Sure, not a problem.
Spending a lot of time reading about elemental beings and things like that.
Okay, not an issue at all.
And harvesting healing potions.
Yes, from the old dew of the desert.
Right, I'm actually going to find Con when the opportunity presents itself. I still need to practice in the armor.
Right, so that's what you're going to be doing. Atra, what are you doing? Anything specific?
Scheming.
Scheming, skulking, and possibly something else beginning with an S and ending with an X.
Fixing.
With the good Captain.
So, I mean, I don't know how much time you want to pass here, but in general, what he would be doing is kind of ponder and be restless in the sense of kind of strutting, being with the S's again, right? Up and down the deck and kind of being restless, seeming on edge. And
right. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, there's not a lot of time that's going to transpire, as we shall shortly see. Adrasai, have to change add to at and back to add. Adrasai, what are they doing?
If they ever wake up again.
Oh yeah, yeah, probably in a cold sweat, I imagine, or a cold pant in your case.
Yeah, I think they spend a minimum amount of time sleeping after that, and just doing a lot of reading and drinking coffee. Really, just studying, reading, brushing up.
Stay awake.
No, not sleeping. I think if they do fall asleep, I think they fall asleep sort of. That they might even sort of fall asleep in conspicuously public locations, like I just accidentally fall asleep in the infirmary, or just in the in a corner in the mess hall or something,
or on the deck, leaned against the mast.
Yes, pretty much. Just sort of so I'll be easily found if I die again.
Right, there we go. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, Argyle wouldn't do that to you.
No, he wouldn't. Not him.
I think he's the one who would.
Yeah.
His kids might.
Saket?
Saket is definitely watching the drama unfold between Mios and his lovely dwarf courting partner. And I have forgotten her name. Oh, Endathar?
Endathar, that's correct.
Yeah, look at me go. So yeah, that's gonna be quite amusing to watch. I think I'll sit and watch that.
Okay. The day hasn't gone on for very long when all of a sudden the ship comes to a halt. The kelp has surrounded the hull once again, and there is a bubbling of water and the frantic calling of Mios for all of the Commodores to come on deck, if you please. The merfolk are back.
Oh, goody.
Right.
Oh, yay.
I head on to deck, feeling slightly annoyed.
You all arrive on deck. The merfolk ambassador appears in his usual water spout, and he bows low in front of all of you, which is quite a lot of low because he has that long curve like fishtail. So he does take quite some time.
You guys need to come up with a better calling card, seriously.
Apologies, it was not our intentions to disrupt your journey. As a matter of fact, we have arrived to extend our offers of speeding your journey wherever it might be.
That's very nice of you.
Yes.
Is the storm still going on in the background?
No, it dissipated. It dissipated about 2 or 3 hours ago.
And left lots of dead things in the water. Maybe we're
Dead
not
fish.
thinking about that.
If there is any aid we might render to you or your vessel, you merely ask and it shall be granted.
So we're eating chowder today, right?
No.
No.
No. Ixnay on the outer tree.
Well, if it's within your power to make our vessel go faster, then that would certainly be of value to us.
Yes.
Where are you heading? We will expedite your journeys as much as we can.
I look at the navigator.
We are heading to, I believe, Pugglestaff, I think it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're on the wrong side.
Yes,
Yes.
we are.
Headed for the north
So we headed,
coast, I believe.
as quickly as we can that direction. And then,
Just to the west of the Lost Bay, right?
Yeah.
yes, I mean, we're probably going to, we could, stop on this side of that land and then, go across it and then murder Kuphet and take his boat.
Ooh.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sounds like a plan.
Here's a question for me, from me. Where would be the next elevator from the Drow? In what city in the Goblin Tribe area?
From your limited understanding of their network,
If I do know, right? But,
yeah. They generally try to have an elevator in all of the major civilization spots because it facilitates trade.
Sure.
So there should be one in Pugglesnuff itself, as it is one of the more significant structures.
I mean, the people there are like this tall. How can it be significant? Okay, so that would be Pispan and Pugglesnuff then. Like,
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Most likely. Mm.
Yep.
We will, with all speed and haste, transport you to the base of the Baron Reach, as you call it, the Lost Bay, as your maps indicate his name.
Yes, thank you. That would be great.
I
And
have
we can
also
that
been...
for you.
He bows low as he realizes he interrupted you.
No, I'm sorry. No, I talk a lot.
What's with all the deference?
On behalf of our kingdom, I must formally apologize to you and your companions.
Why?
Erred in our approaches to dealing with situations. We are now your humble servants.
Oh, something's gone wrong with the book, hasn't it?
You can give me an
That's
insight check,
stalled.
kid.
Sorry?
Ooh, nice.
Give me an insight
You
check.
really need to roll inside to figure that out.
There's more to it
Let's
than
see his
that.
reaction, I suppose.
Oh, fudge. Oh, dear. She rolls poorly because that would give her... okay, it might work. 13?
He twitches slightly, but you can't tell anything from it. It could just be that he's drying out in the sun.
Damn it.
Wouldn't happen to be able to explain that monumental storm?
It is not for me to question the actions of leaders of great nations. Suffice it to
I'm not asking you to question anything, just do you know what happened?
You are originally of the Druids of Sanctuary, are you not?
I still am.
Then you should be aware that the Druids have officially conquered the Merfolk Kingdom.
What?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they got
I'm
upset.
actually going to roll to see if I can hold a straight face on that one. Yes, I can. Amazing.
But they
I did warn you.
conquered it? That was, I mean, so fast. What?
You mentioned the storm. The devastation was beyond calculation. Over 1,000 miles of kingdom was almost instantly destroyed to the depth of our oceans. In the face of that kind of power, our king had no choice but to capitulate and sign a treaty with the Druids.
Okay.
My condolences. But we appreciate the help.
I guess Drakenmore is foodbod too. Anyway,
I'm not about that, but
so definitely something has happened in regards to the book, because if the druid...
Check hat. Can we not talk about this right now?
Okay. All right. I just, inferring.
We will begin the process of speeding your vessel's journey. You may notice some slight rocking of your vessel as we attach the cables.
Ooh.
Understood.
cables? What are you attaching the other end of the cables to?
Help
We
dragon?
will motivate several of our sea creatures to drag your vessel. They are far faster than your airborne
Ooh, yes.
sails.
Ooh, fun.
Ooh.
Ooh, I want to see that.
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank
His
you.
water spout slowly lowers him back down into the ocean.
Sorry about the 1,000 miles of destruction.
We didn't do it.
Well, no, but I'm still sorry it happened. I really didn't. I did not expect that from druids. Have I misunderstood the whole preserve creed?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
All right then. Well, I still have a lot to learn.
I too am somewhat surprised by this choice on the Oaken's part. However, perhaps I should not be. Our tenants do not dictate the absolute preservation of any particular life. It is more concerned with the overall ecosystem.
Yes.
Well, they kind of
So
ecosystem
when
there.
we move like this, it's perhaps akin to lancing a boil.
Okay.
Adapt, improvise, overcome.
Shock and awe.
Well, totally to our bonus, right?
All right, so I suppose we will be there shortly then.
Yeah.
There are several thuds that happen below the waterline. You can see the silvery movement of merfolk just under the water. They do appear to be attaching things to cables.
Does anyone else just get uncomfortable with seeing all of these things in the water? It's unsettling, I think.
Not especially.
I'm not a fan of water, to be honest.
Because you managed
You're
to
made of water, Jory.
Yes, but not this much water with evil things in it.
Well, I mean, technically.
I think right now we're the scariest things on the ocean.
Quite possibly.
I don't know.
Two very large whales suddenly break the surface with that silent giant-like strength that they possess and announce their presence by venting from those massive blowholes on the tops of their skulls. They then swim alongside the Windswift, and those creatures that you were worried about, Jorik, pale in comparison in size to these behemoths of the ocean. They are quite easily twice the length of the Windswift in the water.
So they do drag us deeper into water then?
They will be shortly, yes. As they start to attach the cables to these large creatures. There's a sort of a tug and a lurch, and a merfolk sort of pops out of the water and sort of looks around to try and catch the eye of anybody on the ship. And the moment that the merfolk does, it sort of raises a hand to sort of get approval, you think, to start, and it dips below the water as soon as Jorik does it. And the ship kind of lurches forward a little bit, and then it just starts to glide and pulls away from the coastline, because you guys were keeping close to the coastline. It starts to pull away, and for a little while it seems like the whales are out of sync in terms of their downward and upward sort of motions. However, after a while they definitely get into sync, and then they start to build up speed. And the bow wave just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the ship starts to move at a faster and faster pace.
I'm getting this Sinbad vibe right now.
Sorry, Atra?
Do we keep in sight of the coastline?
No. They are going to break away from the coastline. It does make more sense. The distance is shorter from where you are currently if you break out over open water, rather than if you stay close to the coastline.
Is the sky clear, or is it still cloudy?
No, clear. Absolutely.
What time is it?
Now it's about lunchtime, give or take.
Ooh.
Kind of stand at the bow, sort of clinging to the rope there, and just watch for quite a while. You seeing this, Argyle?
Oh dear, she's talking to herself again. I'm not sure she entirely...
Yeah, there is that. There is definitely that.
I shall find Atra.
Sorry.
No, carry on. At some point in this.
I instantly wrote down what happened in that dream. I probably left all those papers somewhere. Possibly in the med unit where I woke up.
Infirmary?
Yes, the infirmary. Thank you. Words are hard. Yes.
The medical
so,
unit of the Starfinder. Wait.
Yeah,
Of the Star Swift.
So yeah, that's probably there. But otherwise, I don't think I mentioned much of what happened
last night.
So,
Sure.
yeah.
No, you pretty much mentioned you met a hot guy.
Yeah,
And a dragon.
pretty much. Hot guy and a dragon, and yeah, that was it.
There we are. Con, you went to go and look for Atra.
Yeah.
You find him.
Yeah, would be on deck, kind of pacing, as I said.
I sort of intercept you in your pacing, sort of take up stride alongside. Don't say anything for a bit. I don't have a family. This crew is my family. But that doesn't mean I don't understand. If you wish it, I'd be more than willing to help arrange your transport once we make landfall if you need to go after your daughter. But I can't come with you. I just thought I would make that offer. Under ordinary circumstances, I would be more than happy to go charging off to rescue an innocent in this predicament. In fact, it is an uncomfortable thought to have it at our backs. But I must weigh my priorities. I think you understand that. Anyway, if you want to use the Druid network when we make landfall, I'm sure I can arrange that for you.
That is a very gracious offer. Thank you.
Well, we live in interesting times. I have absolutely no idea what the next few days are going to bring.
Neither do I. Are you familiar with the direction we are taking? I don't like to not see the land.
I am comfortable with the maps here in the direction. I'm sure that address.
I just
Sorry?
trust these scaly fish.
Ordinarily, neither would I, but it would appear that compliance has been impressed upon them.
That's what they say anyway.
Yeah. We shall see. But Adresai is a skilled navigator. If we're going off course, they will notice.
Just at the front.
Kind of
screen.
look around, see just blue water.
I'm the king of the world. Sorry.
Can't read about this win, you bastard.
Oh, God.
The ship has gained significant speed, and all of the sails had to be taken in because they were acting as a brake more than anything else.
Drag.
And you reckon that you are traveling easily 3 times the speed that the Windswift would normally be able to move at, as these giant beasts are simply, when you look down, it looks like they're just casually pushing those massive fins back and forth of their tails. But the water is just zipping past. Rough calculations indicate that within no more than 2 days you will arrive, if they can continue this speed throughout the night.
Well, on that point, are the whales visible from
Yes.
the deck? Okay.
Oh, yes.
Because I am somewhat curious as to the manner of how this is all achieved and whether or not the whales are suffering any kind of major discomfort in the process.
Shapeshift. Splash.
Black. Whoa! The speed is too fast. Wait, come back.
I mean, if you shapeshift, you should be able to keep up, right?
Yeah.
And into a dolphin.
When you look down at the whales, you can see that there are large kelp strands that have been woven around them and that connect to the hull of the Windswift. And riding on their backs are merfolk, sort of controlling them. You can see every now and again there's a flare of magic around the hands of the merfolk as they touch the whale's back. Give me an Arcana check, if you please.
Touching, eh?
20.
They seem to be casting some kind of restorative magic to keep the beast's strength up or their speed up. You're not entirely sure, but it certainly seems to invigorate the beast, because after they've done that, the creatures have a surge in speed ever so slightly as they
Arcane doping.
move forward.
Okay.
Oh, enhancing spells. Yes.
So I'm guessing we're sort of dealing with whales that are sort of almost the size of a blue whale then.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
I
Very
think
much
where
so.
that inspiration came from.
Yeah, just massive creatures.
Cool.
Fascinating.
Isn't it?
I don't know. I'm so high on coffee right now, I can see the sound the whales look like.
Oh, dear.
Skin covering coffee right now.
There is a tap on Con's shoulder. It's unusually pointy. And you see Jorg standing there with long, monstrous claws on his furred hands. And he also has some weirdly formed wings on his back. And he says, I'm gonna need some help, Con.
What the what?
You know my powers keep changing all the time.
Oh goodness.
I think I figured out how to transmogrify myself, but I'm not very good at it. Would you mind giving me a
Puberty.
hint? I don't even know how to turn myself back.
How am I supposed to tell you how that? I don't know how this
You're
works.
a druid! You change shapes all the time! How do you do it?
I have control over my body at a cellular level. I don't know what you're doing.
No,
Me
I need
neither.
to like say words and stuff and fancy gestures to do that. I don't know what you're doing either. But
No, that's
look,
great.
Come on. Look, we'll go
Can't you
down
just push
and
him back in?
look, we'll do some breathing exercises and we'll try to figure it out, okay?
All right, because this
Think
didn't turn
about
out the way I
this.
thought.
No,
Yes.
it's very cool.
Mios wanders past and he looks at you, Jorik, and he says, I find that taking a cold shower sometimes helps.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Mios. Yeah. All right, Adrosai, let's figure this out.
Yes, let's go.
All right, the ship continues to surge forward, and it's a long afternoon of pushing and pulling and trying to reshape Jorik as the whales continue their forward movement. If anyone is going to...
Oh, goddammit, I'm going to need a new tunic again.
No, I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
All right, thank you.
Night falls, and unless anyone is doing anything, the ship continues on her movement. Captain Ty does inform you that there's no point in having anyone at the wheel. We have absolutely no capacity whatsoever to change our course. These beasts determine where we go. The rudder is basically ineffective at the moment, so I've given everyone basically shore leave. Well, insofar as just a little R&R.
Sea leave.
We should maintain a watch on deck, however, just to keep track of our course.
Yes, I agree, Commodore, and as a result, I've assigned the Marines to go on to lookout duty to improve their night vision.
Great. Can they navigate?
I'll stay up there most of the night. Don't worry about it.
As you wish, Commodore. Alternatively, I could assign one of our crew to watch our course, I suppose.
No, I'll be awake. It's fine. I can teach them how to
5 minutes
tell the
later.
stars.
I'll be awake. I'll be awake.
All right.
I'm fine.
All right.
Chewing on the coffee beans.
Yes.
Need more caffeine.
Do not want to sleep.
I just keep casting catnap on myself and do like little 10-minute.
Trip outs. Yeah, sun rises and the ship is starting to slow down as there's a bit of choppy seas ahead, and the whales don't want to sink the Windswift because they would just go straight through the waves. They realize that they have to float over the waves, basically, or at least rise up enough to allow the Windswift to sail up and over the waves. So speed is slowed slightly. Other than that, pretty neutral grey weather. If you didn't have the whales, your speed would have been reduced even more so than currently. The day progresses. If anyone wants to do anything, let me know. Otherwise, the ship continues northward.
Nothing specific.
Nothing specific, no.
Sunset, sunrise. Yes,
Eat
Adversary.
and watch certain things transpire.
I was pondering having a look on this actually.
Sure.
During the day, or sort of during the evening maybe. I'll first cast sending to him to sort of prepare him to how I'm going to scry on you now, so don't resist.
No response.
All right, and then I'm going to cast scrying.
Okay. The scry reveals a rather small chamber. It looks to be carved out of a very white, chalky-like limestone, perhaps. You're not entirely sure. Give me a nature check, if you please.
Jay can do that. 13.
13. Yeah, limestone is your best guess in terms of what it might be. Where that occurs, it's beyond your comprehension to determine that. He is lying face down in a puddle of, it looks to be vomit of some sort. You're not entirely sure.
How badly is he injured?
He looks near death. He looks really badly beaten up, and sitting in the corner there is a very flamboyant looking goblin whom you recognize as Deacon Flunt, your last controller.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
And as you're sort of looking at him, he looks to this. You can hear what's going on. Is that correct?
I can't, but I can lip read.
Right. Yes, of course you can. So your lip reading, basically, Flint is saying to him, well, we don't really have any more use for you. So unless you give us what we want, I'm afraid we're going to have to turn you into a handbag. But don't worry, it'll be a nice accessory. I'll give it to the wife. She'll probably appreciate it. Yeah, so tell us what we want to know. Where is the Windswift? He then looks up and his eyes squint, and you get the impression that he has seen your sphere of scrying.
My little, yes. Little eyeball.
I didn't think that was possible.
If you can see invisible, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an invisible sensor.
Yeah, he sort of gets up and he walks over to it, and there's that funny elongation effect of his nose as he gets close to the sphere. And you see him sort of pushing his hand forward to try and grab it.
It says the sensor moves with the target, but can I sort of move it around in the space?
No, well, it's fixed on Vis, sadly. So he then says, whoever's watching, if I see you again, I'm going to cut Vis's head off in front of you. Give you something to really watch. Now, if you don't mind, would you politely sod off? This is my interrogation.
I'll break the spell.
All right.
All right, and I go find, I don't know, whoever's in the mess hall at the time.
That would probably be Saked.
Yes. So this is still alive, barely.
Barely. Right.
Very, very barely. And I think he's going to die very soon. Do you know where you find limestone? It's not a super common building material, is it?
No, I mean, generally you find limestone in the ground. What kind
I
of...
mean, yes. Yes.
But
Doing.
architecturally wise, it's a very unusual. I'm gonna back
Yes.
now. Give me a minute. I mean, we did look at this. We did look at this in the academy, right?
You can give me a nature check, Cpt.
Come on. Ooh, well done. Nature check. So that would be an 18.
The Sageti Empire uses a lot of limestone in conjunction with the sandstone to create a nice offset of color. But the way Adrasai suggests that it was in limestone that had been excavated rather than in a pre-made room of limestone, then you're looking for certain cliff types. Now, most of the cliff types that surround the Talentari Bay are limestone, simply because of the original geography that was there. There are also limestone cliffs towards the southern end of the Empire of Athane Basul near Sheth Bay, but that's very small and generally has a more rosy color to it than pure white limestone. And then there are deposits within the Dwarven mountain range of the Blahi Mountains, but usually that is very difficult to access this time of year owing to the glaciers that sit atop the cliff faces themselves.
Are you implying that Saket paid attention in geology class?
I'm implying that she's a Sageti, so she knows what good quality stone is all about and where are the best places to source it.
Yeah.
So,
you have that.
she's a stoner, that's what you're saying.
What color was the limestone?
Limestone colored. You know, the usual.
Did it have a pink hue to it?
No. I mean, there was some pinkness, but that was mostly on the floor and the wall where the chains were.
That could just be blood related.
Yes, that was definitely Vis's blood related. Yes.
Oh, I didn't know he. Okay, that. So he can bleed.
Not the point right now.
Okay. So it just sometimes comes a little bit of cold-hearted. But I mean, so I think we're still going the right direction. I think it'll probably be.
All right. Well, Flunt was there.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, that is interesting.
Yeah.
And he was what with this in what capacity?
Torturer.
Ooh.
Really. So I mean, if we squash him too, that would be nice.
Okay. Huh. This is getting all very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Getting? Just now?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I'm just a little upset. I liked this.
Well,
I mean,
like
he's still alive.
Yeah. Definitely no sign of, large, tongue by any chance that these people keep talking about? No.
Not what?
What was the crap? My brain is so gone right now. I'm slightly deterred.
Too much bacon?
Too much bacon. Too much
Clearly.
sun bread. Not Chung. What's his name? You know his name. The guy that used to be on this boat.
Utaru?
Yeah. No sign of him at all. I'm just wondering how much of the order is caught up in this, because if
I just spied on this and it was just him and Flunt.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we still haven't found him then. That's disappointing. Well, I think we're heading in the right direction. There are some cliffs that we are going to go by that could easily have some caverns excavated into them that
All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, once we get nearby, I can probably do a more, specific get a more specific location on him.
And safely?
Yeah, I found another spell at the book we got from the big library.
You and your libraries. Okay.
You and your libraries? I don't know why I'm getting that from you,
I
of
know.
all people.
Oh, I like too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. This is all very interesting. Really? Flunt was there? There's a big conspiracy here. I'm liking it. I'm going to work it
Well,
out.
yes! I mean, have you been paying attention?
Yeah, but I mean, like, to what extent, how much of it is caught up in this? Who is caught up in this? These things, are useful, valuable pieces of information when it comes to destroying what we're dealing with here. I mean, I'm not just a portable gun,
No, I know. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
There is a brain in my head. I know it's
I know.
sometimes...
I
So you
know.
turn bacon into fireballs.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is
Well,
a
I'm gonna
knocking at the door that the two of you are near, and Lily pops her head round.
Hi, Lily.
Awfully
Lily.
sorry to interrupt, but I have found a captain,
Oh, really? Which one?
Rombathenbergen.
Right.
Bathenbergen.
He's from the Mongto. I thought that they had been completely lost, but, well, I've been doing what you asked me to do, searching and trying to find anyone. Rombathenbergen is a dwarvish captain, not
Yes.
very well known because, well, between us, he was a bit of an underperformer, really. Nonetheless, his oracle unfortunately died. He wasn't on board his ship when it exploded. So it's just him, I'm afraid. But, well, he's asking if there's anything that he can do to help.
And can I just check, because we've, let's face it, had some fun times with some captains recently. Is he still flying?
Well,
No, his ship was destroyed. He's currently located in Fort Brast.
Fort Brast? Where's that? Oh, there.
That's in the barbarian territories?
Yes, no, that's east coast of Tilantari Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Look, what, are you sure? Like,
How did he get there?
Apparently the Mongto was busy on duty out in the northern forests of Eldan when the ship exploded. He's been walking back ever since.
Bloody hell, that's a long walk.
Especially for a dwarf.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something? When you got that first message from Viz, who did you actually get that from?
That's I was going to ask that.
From Viz directly.
How did he contact you directly? He's not an oracle.
No, he isn't. But you said to keep a lookout for anybody who was originally part of the Order, and, well, he was originally part of the Order, and so we sort of knew what to look for.
You brushed minds with him, checking up on him, you mean? And he sort of talked back to you? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the oracles were always in touch with their captains when you were on field missions and things.
Oh, I see.
It was an
That
impression.
connection.
It's like a scent, I suppose you could say, or perhaps no, a scent is probably the best way to describe it.
Okay, so his ship has been destroyed, and he's walking back to where exactly? I mean,
He's in Fort Brast at the moment. He's not walking anywhere. He's not entirely sure what's going on, and I'm afraid I don't think he knows very much about the dragon situation.
not many people do seem to know very much about the dragon situation, unless they were in a certain city that got burnt down, which we probably shouldn't talk about too much because, yeah, whoops, I'm sorry about that. Anyway,
Well, thank you.
What
Guess
should
we
I
should
tell
pick him
him?
up.
He is eagerly awaiting communication. It
We can
doesn't.
try
We'll
pick him up.
confer with the other captains and
Yeah.
get back to you. Thank you.
She leaves.
Okay, because I sent a message to a lot of people right after, Quetlin.
Bang.
And he was one of the few people who actually responded. I think it was the only person who actually responded. And at the time, he told me that he was in Tilantari Bay, and that the Stokstoyva was intact, which is, Kuphet's ship. So he knew about Kuphet's ship at the time, which meaning he's probably, with Kuphet.
Oh, bugger.
So, and, the other one was trying to get our location from Viz, which he refused to give them.
Does Viz even know
so
where
I think
we
this
are?
might be another way of trying to figure out where we are.
Okay, well, we can always get him to board the ship and then behead him. I have no problem with that.
No. But it's just, I mean,
Look,
I'm not like off
it's
here,
too
right? There's no other way that he could know that Stokstoyva was intact if he wasn't in contact with Kuphet.
Well, yeah, I'd assume so, unless you could see it. But you probably got a good point. But I still say we can play a double hand here and like pretend to be all friendly, pick him up, and then kill him.
So where do we tell him we are?
We don't tell him where we are. We just tell him we're going to pick him up at some point and then kill him.
But
Kill
they
him,
know
pick-
that we're somewhere in this ocean.
Mm-hmm. But look at the
So-
speed we're doing. I mean, like, have you ever seen such
I know, it's amazing.
We don't have to stay in one location for very long.
No, I know, but I'm just saying picking him up when we're in this ocean in a sailing ship is a little difficult. And it doesn't make much sense telling him that.
All
Look,
right,
we should
so
probably
can we-
gather the others and
Can we not send like Atra to do a little bit of his handiwork?
probably we kind of need Atra with us if he
Yeah,
wants to
but we
stay with
could
us.
pop him on. We could pop him on something. I mean, I'm guessing those whales aren't the only thing they've got to hand. I'm sure they could pop him on one of those like large sea-bearing creatures, like a little like mini.
Still won't get anywhere near Fort Brast.
Well, we could if we put him on the skiff and something took him there.
But we don't have a skiff that
Oh yeah, I
flies.
broke it. No. Well, did I bring it? Well, no, but we can attach it to one of the sea creatures, so it's like dun 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 dun.
Sure, but he still won't get anywhere near Fort Brast.
Oh, bummer. Hang on, can't he fly?
Yes, but
Only
I doubt
500 miles.
that far.
He can fly, but not with a skiff in tow.
Look,
No, I
let's just
know that. But
let's just get the others together and we can tell them and
okay.
maybe do a bit of tacticizing on what we do when we actually get to the Baron's Reach.
I kill as many people as
Tacticianing,
possible.
What?
Well, I'm
All right,
assuming that-
Commodores, you are summoned.
Yes. I tell them about
Do you include
Lily.
Atrasai?
yeah, why not?
Atrasai.
Atrasai, yeah.
Yeah. That's just me
Shipping,
adding the
that's
two
what I
together.
know.
It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. The two of you need to get together now and have kittens or even different result.
That sounds like something Tumblr would come up with.
Yeah.
Atrasai,
Yeah,
like the shipping.
we already have a shipping name. Okay, so I tell them about Rumbathenbergen's message that I got from him and everything. Sort of get them up to speed.
Okay, and what do you... Okay, aside from the info, what do you say?
I tell them, Lily sent us a message about how she'd made contact with him and he was in Fort Brast and he wanted to know, what was going on, I assume. But, after Questlin, I sent a message to him and he responded back talking about, how the dwarves were mastering in Consinii and he asked me if E7 was in full bloom and told me that at the time it was in Telentori Bay and that the Stokstoyva was still intact, which means that he had contacts with the Stokstoyva and presumably Kuphet.
And the
Well,
Stokstoyva was the ship that you exploded.
No, that was another one. The Stokstoyva is the ones presumably.
It's the one
somewhere-
we're about to explode.
Yes.
That doesn't mean he is a traitor, though. He
Does
could
that-
theoretically not know about the dragon thing, and he's been in contact with Kuphet because Kuphet was trying to get into contact with us.
I mean,
Here is one thing I do not understand. When he answered you,
Uh-huh.
he answered you, correct? And this
Mhm.
is something he did consciously?
Hmm.
And then he spoke consciously to your oracle.
I see. Yes.
This has to be the stupidest spy I've ever seen.
Maybe.
If that is.
What he is.
Well, they're really trying to figure out the location of us right now. So him making contact right now and trying to figure out what's going on is not.
So what do you want to do about it?
I don't know.
Why don't we pick him up after we're done?
Sure. I mean,
What are the pros? What are the cons? He
Doesn't
might or
really
might
matter.
not be on your side or against you. What can happen if he's against you? He can set a trap. I would say it would probably be the worst.
And we could kill him.
Sure. And the best thing could be what? He is an ally? Is he like...
In my mind right now, the best option is we give him a location of us that makes them think that they have more time to prepare for us than they do, and then we arrive at the Baron's Reach, when we do.
Quick GM question here. That Baron's Reach, that little narrow strip between the Lost Bay and Telantari Bay, how wide is that?
That stretches about 50 miles on a good day, 75 on a bad day. Basically, it depends on how high the water rises in Telantari Bay.
Right.
50 miles, so 2 days travel.
It is populated with trees, however. It is not the barren. It's not the wastelands of Chungda, for example, where trees are incredibly rare.
It's not a barren reach, is that what you're saying?
It's barren for other reasons.
Relatively barren.
Yeah.
Frequent flooding.
Seems like a misleading name, but okay.
Mostly, but not completely barren.
So what we know is that we sent this to Telantari Bay.
Yes.
And he's been
Lost Bay, Telantari Bay, right? Like right on the kind of connected.
The last time we heard from him, he was where? Before he got captured, he was where?
As I remember is Lost Bay. That's where you guys sent him to kind of observe, right?
No, he was off trying to find Wataru.
Right.
Up among the goblins.
Yeah, he was in the goblin territories, yes.
Yes.
Right.
Right, the druids were sent to Lost Bay, right? To see what's happening there.
Okay. Well, considering we have a goblin torturing this.
Deacon Flunt.
Yeah.
That sniveling little bastard. I never liked him.
I'm so sad that Blacksmith's not
Archon Flunt. Sorry.
I think we
Do we have any further clues on Vis's location?
He's in a
he said that
limestone cell carved out of the stone.
As the assumption here is that he is where he said that Sector 13 would be, right? Makes sense that he would have been picked up in that area.
Yes.
So the question is if he doesn't get transported, and even if he got transported somewhere else, you want to try to find him?
Yes, obviously, but he's around Pugglesnuff, and we're heading up on the Lost Bay where Kuphet is waiting to have a meeting with us. So, we were dealing with that first either way. I'm just
and you said Flunt detected your scry?
Yeah. Yeah, he did. There was a lot of torturing going on, and he was very, very mad. And if I scried on him again, he would kill this.
Let's try not to do that then.
No.
Is there any way to detect the sending messages you do?
Not really. They can know that it's me doing it, and then they can try to detect where I am. But, if they could do that, they probably wouldn't be torturing this.
Probably not. I'm just saying we shouldn't risk Vis's life by trying to find out where he is that way.
I'm just trying to figure out what we tell.
Have you shared the geology
Bathenberg.
information?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so we know that he's in limestone. We know there are limestone cliffs along Telantari Bay. We also know that Pugglesnuff is along Telantari Bay, and we suspect that Sector 13 is somewhere near Pugglesnuff. So
yes.
It kind of all points to one region of the map.
It does.
Port Brast is on the opposite side of the bay from that region.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, what do we actually tell Ron Bathenberg?
I'm not sure what the point of Ron Bathen is at this point, to be ruthless about it. What help can he be?
Well, it can be helped by, we tell him.
5 minutes ago, you said you want to kill him.
Disinformation, maybe?
Yes, that's what I've been saying. We tell
Because-
them that we're just heading towards the Lost Bay and we'll be there in like 4 days. And then they won't expect us showing up in one.
Anyway. Just
Maybe
tell them
we
we're
use
stuck
insufficient
on
information.
where we last been seen.
Yeah, we
Well, that's
don't need to
easily,
tell him.
that's way more easy to
The
confirm or
Rackenmoor.
deny, though.
Let's say we are in the Rackenmoor, yeah.
I think they know we're not in Drakenmoor, considering what we did to Grainby. Or Didi, I mean.
We destroyed another city.
No, well,
No, but
No.
a fleet. A lot of ships died, and we were there.
Oh yes, that.
Let's just tell them that we're on the way to the Lost Bay because that's what they think we're doing anyway, but we don't give them a specific location that's easy for them to verify.
You're the navigator. How long would it take to get from Didi to the Lost Bay by standard sailing?
It would go.
It's about 300 miles, so probably about 4 or 5 days.
So that's 5 days.
So we are making double time, more or less. Okay.
Mhm.
So let's say 5 days.
So here is another option. If you think he is in cahoots with your assailants, you could feed him wrong information for him to set a trap, and we are there waiting for them to set a trap.
Yes, that is what I am saying.
That's not a bad idea.
That is literally what I've been saying for 5 minutes.
Yes, and we are agreeing.
Good. I'll go tell Lily.
So what do
Yes.
you tell her then?
That will be at the north beach of Lost Bay in about 4 days.
Yeah.
And that will come pick him up whenever we get there.
That works.
All right then.
You have 4 days to arrive, or they have.
And
4
we'll
days.
be there in what, 1 day or something?
Day and a half.
Okay, good.
All right.
All right, you.
It's nice to be on the prepared side for once.
Stomp off to Lily and tell him that.
Sure. Lily sends the message through. She says, well, he got it. He simply said, all right, he's going to try and make his way there as best he can.
Well, we'll pick him up in Fort Brast when we can. I mean, it'll
Say
take...
that was quite a distance.
Yes, but him walking to the Baron's Reach is going to make him impossible. Never mind. He can walk. We'll find him. Doesn't matter.
I think he's probably going to take a wagon train from Fort Brast to Barangard Castle, would be my guess.
Yes, we'll burn that when we get there. That's a joke.
Right.
It's a bad taste joke, I would say. Okay.
Yes, no, sorry. No, I'm feeling a little, morbid these days.
Sleep deprived, on coffee.
Wonder, considering all of the things that are around you, I wouldn't sleep either, she says. All right,
What do you
well,
mean?
I'll...
Whoa. What do you mean things that are around me?
You were talking to them the other day.
Oh, no. That was not... I mean, you don't see anything, right?
Well, not right now, no.
But there are things that are around me. Because I'm not, talking to anyone in specific. I'm just sort of talking to myself to create a memory that they'll see to retroactively have a conversation. Never mind. What did you see?
There's the little lizard man who's running after you.
No way. Not 9.
Collects the pages that you drop.
Oh. Yeah, he would do that, wouldn't he? He really likes those pages in order. Is there a tall elf man and a sort of third individual that might look like anything?
I haven't seen any elf men around you, to be perfectly honest with you. As far as somebody else, well, there's Argyle, whom you seem to talk to quite often.
Yes, you know his name because I've said Argyle. Thank you.
Well,
I was
he and I
really
chatted
worried there
well.
for a second, Lily. Sorry, what?
Well, we've chatted.
What? You
Briefly.
what? Okay, Lily, I'm gonna need you to be very, very clear with me right now and tell me everything.
Not much to tell, really. We talk about my life and...
Where did he come from? When did he show up?
Well, he
How
came
does he
on board
visit?
with you, I assumed. I don't know.
You realize Argyle's not a real person, right?
Oi!
I mean, not in this reality.
No, I'm fairly certain he is. We have had quite delightful
You
conversations.
think there's a person on board named Argyle who come talking to you?
Well, you talked to him too.
No, not then that way. All right, Lily, I'm going to be very, very clear about one thing now. Argyle is extremely dangerous and also not in this reality.
I'm not
I
surprised
think you can see
considering
him because of... Sorry, what?
I'm not surprised considering his origin.
His origin?
I think perhaps you and Argyle should have this conversation. I don't think it's necessarily my place to share.
I don't...
He probably sees me as a confidant or something along those lines.
Lily.
He even told me not even to tell you that I had seen him. So
Yeah, no shit!
in that breach,
Look, I'm really grateful. Look, you know those books, right? The Tal books, right?
Yes.
That we have.
Yes.
Yes. Well, remember how I got sucked into one of them once and almost died horribly?
Yes.
And I met all kinds of horrifying nightmare creatures inside that tried to steal my brain?
Yes.
Argyle's one of them!
I am not.
What's the... I'm trying to simplify.
I thought that you had conquered the books.
No! Did he tell you that?
No, but they do float around you all the time.
They...
That's where the little lizard man puts the pages.
Okay, the books do not float around me. I don't know what you see, if that's some kind of psychic representation.
Could be. Very difficult to tell the difference between psychic and real.
Yeah, I've noticed that with Jorik. But this is really concerning, not super surprising now that I've had a moment to think about it. But, I basically, Argyle is some sort of pre-creation entity that wants chaos, and for me to be sucked into the book and create more horrifying bad rules, or possibly create more horrifying bad rules while I'm out here, by changing the book. It's all a little complicated.
I don't think he wants you to make bad rules.
No, he doesn't think they are. He just wants me to make new rules.
Yes, I think so.
But this is really concerning, Lily. You should tell, when next time you see him, tell him to leave you the fuck alone, and that he can come talk to me if he has any issues, and I'll happily talk to him, but that he should not fuck with the rest of the people on this ship. I'm the one who chose going into this book.
Okay, I'll try and pass the message along if I see him.
If you really like talking to him, I can't blame you. Look, he is tight. But I mean, just he's really, 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 really dangerous, okay?
Okay, well, I'll bear that in mind. I honestly thought that you could see him. I quite remember hearing you talk to him. But my mistake. Haha.
Do you remember me having a two-way conversation with him, or just yelling at him at random moments?
I hear what most people yell at each other, whether they say them aloud or not. So sometimes it's a bit confusing to try and work out what's actually being said and what's being thought. And, well, to be perfectly frank with you, if you heard what half the people were saying to each other on this ship, well, I think you would probably leave.
No, that's quite possible. I understand. Thank you for telling me. But, you know, this is very concerning. And I'll be dealing with this once we've dealt with the whole, you know, Sector 13 Kuphet business. Okay?
I don't judge.
But judge? What do you mean, judge?
I believe you used the word tight.
Well, I mean, he is. And I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm having some kind of relationship with this individual.
You do remember that I am a mind reader.
Oh, damn it. Lily. Okay,
You have
look.
me sleeping everywhere on the ship.
Yes, because if I die in my sleep again, I want someone to find me.
Yes. I understand that.
So what's the judge about sleeping everywhere on the ship? You don't think that I'm running around having bone moments with Argyle?
I'm not entirely sure what that is, but like I said, I don't judge. Now, I'm going to get hold of Rombathenbergen again and just make sure that he's okay. In the meantime, you get some sleep. I think you probably need it.
Yeah, I'm going to have a long conversation with Argyle first, I think. Thank you, Lily. Conversation! Talking! And then I just slam the door.
No need
Then I go back to my quarters and sort of kick the door in and go, Argyle, you bitch!
It's interesting. You would see Atramentum there standing, waiting for you as you kind of kick open the door.
Ah! Atra! You're not, I wasn't talking to you. Hi! What are you doing? Hi!
Hello. I'm kind of looking around if there's another person in here.
Sorry, I forgot that you were staying in my room for now. Sorry.
Well, it is fine. I was just waiting for you because I didn't know where you went. Something came to mind.
Uh-huh.
If you think this captain that you sent the message with the oracle,
Rombathenbergen, yes.
yes, is against you, it might be a good idea right now to take a look at him and see how he reacts if he contacts some person.
Yeah, but
Are you familiar with him?
Am I familiar with him, Kai?
You probably met him at the academy.
Yeah, I've course sending to him before, so I would be familiar with him.
Okay. Well, just something that came to mind.
No, that's true. That's a good point.
Could clear.
But if he's around where Flunt is, that's a very bad idea because then Flunt will murder Viss.
So, you said he was already dead anyway.
No, I said he was almost dead.
Well, and what's going to happen after almost, eh?
Well, apparently, Flunt's going to turn him into a handbag and give him to his wife. He said it's going to be a very stylish
That's what I
successor.
said. It's my idea. It was my idea in the first
Yeah, he stole your idea. You should murder him.
Well, I think information is much more valuable than somebody who might or might not be dead anyways.
I mean, you've got a point, but right now I'm a little too tired and I'm a little upset. And it turns out one of my head ghosts have been hitting on our oracle, and I'm a little not okay with that.
Head ghosts?
Yes. You remember when I was in the book and almost died and there were also nightmare creatures in there trying to steal my brain? No, but that happened. And one of them is now running around on the ship, and Lily thinks I'm doing the do with him. And it's not very, I mean, it's a little...
So you want me to leave your quarters so you have some...
No. If I wanted to leave my quarters, so I can yell at him for messing with the people on this ship. Because if he messes with them, he's the one who should mess with me. This is all very upsetting, and I haven't really slept in 3 days.
Yeah, I can see that in your eyes. They are quite, well, not looking all right. Anyways,
No. Look,
if you want me to stick around, I guess I owe you one, so.
could you really? Could you just stay in here while I sleep and just wake me up if something weird happens?
Sure, if a ghost taps my shoulder, I will tell you right now.
Thank you. I mean, if a really hot guy or girl, I don't know what your preference is, shows up and wants to talk to you about your childhood, just wake me up. Or if I stop breathing, just get con.
Yes.
And I just sort of go over and then I sort of collapse on the bed and just instantly fall asleep.
I will stay with her.
Oh.
Well, you observe and you watch, and the stars outside of the portal slowly drift past and eventually blush and blossom into the sunrise that illuminates the sea, turning it for a moment azure blue, and then it darkens as day deepens, and the Windswift continues on its journey. It is probably noon by the time the call goes out that land has been sighted. Yes, Con?
When roughly judging navigation-wise, timing it, I want to take to the air as an eagle before land comes over the horizon, whilst we're still got the horizon between us and the bay.
Sure, not a problem.
And do a scouting run.
Absolutely. You take to the air and your eagle eyes scan the surface of the waves and eventually the great big cliffs of the Lost Bay and the Baron's Reach. The Baron's Reach has its name because it is completely barren, or at least that's what they say. Nothing grows there, apart from these rather bizarre tree-like structures. As a druid, you know that it's a rather alkaline situation. Most of the water is brackish and completely unable to support any form of life. Certain trees, however, have adapted to this environment and have started to utilize the intense amounts of salt that's in the water, the alkaline salts, and are the only things that grow there. They are rather bizarre, however, as they don't have any leaves, just these rather stalk stick-like things sticking out of the ground, looking like, well, basically naked trees in winter.
There are like mangroves?
Like the mangroves to a large degree, yes, but without the pretty green foliage. Yeah, they also excrete the salts that they pick up, which tend to calcify around their roots, causing them to be these bizarre half-stone, half-tree-like things. As a result, there are a few predators that you know of that have learned to emulate the trees, and they move amongst the trees, basically scavenging creatures that have fallen prey to the alkaline waters in the Lost Bay, and the like. They are not particularly dangerous unless you happen to be a bloated corpse rotting in the sun, in which case then they are definitely going to find you. You can see, in the great big sickle shape that is the Lost Bay, there is the rather impressive form of the Stokstoyva, the large three-layered deep, three-tiered deep ship, bristling with weaponry that she has been recently armed with. She is at the northern beach, waiting patiently.
She airborne?
No, at the moment she's in the water itself. You would know from your previous experience that if you are ordered to wait in a certain area for a certain period of time, you land. You don't waste magic units remaining aloft.
I quickly turn tail and pretty much dive bomb back to the Windswift because I want to stop them before they rise above the horizon.
Right.
All right. Screaming Eagle comes in. Now, bearing in mind that the Lost Bay is almost 150 miles across, so you could quite easily enter in the south entrance of the bay and not be seen.
So it is on the northern side of the land, or is it still in the Lost Bay itself?
No, it's in the Lost Bay, and when I say it's northeastern, sorry, let me be more specific. Northeastern part of the bay.
So towards the Barangard Castle.
Closer towards Barangard Castle, correct.
Okay. So yeah, I returned to the ship, transformed back, and informed them that our quarry is exactly where we thought they'd be, and they are bristling with weaponry. Waiting for us.
We didn't think we could take the Stokstoyva in a fair fight anyway.
No, but it's advisable that we don't simply sail on into the bay and give them the opportunity to attack us.
Yeah.
especially since they have the capacity to fly, presumably.
So you
So,
tell us to everybody of us, or do you just talk?
Yeah. Well, as long as I sort of land on the deck and like.
I mean, I assume at this point, Adosai and I are ready. This is like later than 8 hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, if everyone's not present, then I would call
just checking, because
meeting.
as I said, like I would have actually stuck with her and see.
Well, in that case, let's
went.
call it a meeting that I land on the deck and say, "Quick to the war room! Tell the helm to
The war room.
Then,
hold us in position for a bit."
so what is your goal with this ship? Shouldn't I was under the impression we were heading to the gnomes' city?
Yes.
Well, it's kind of on the way, but yes, this is an interesting development.
Ideally, we want to murder everyone on board and take the ship to Puggles enough so we can approach.
Everybody on board.
Oh, everybody.
yes, they are traitors.
With the dragon, so it's not a moral, dilemma here. You just kill them.
Would you think that I have a moral dilemma with killing people?
No, I think you have no problem with killing people.
we-
And that's why you're extremely useful at the moment. And that is why we're happy to help you get your daughter back once you've helped us kill everybody.
Well, I don't. We have had some success with co-opting lower ranks, since we understand lower ranks obey orders on pain of death, and we need people who can crew ships. So maybe not kill everyone, but
Kuphet and any other surviving captains are Archons. Yes.
Someone who doesn't immediately surrender.
So I am quite unfamiliar with your vessels. How big is this vessel? How many people are there? And who are we talking actually being the villains on board?
Con, you are most familiar with our ships, I think. What's the Stokstoyva like?
I give them
I know it's a large ship, but that's all I know.
So I actually would like to know before we go into this.
Well, I
Wait, stop! Yeah, the Stokstoyva is a bombard class. She's not a challenger class. Bombards were the heavy-duty vessels, principally kept aside just for the Archons themselves. That means that she has got no less than 4 ballista on her decks, capable of firing just as much of a punch as the 2 that the Windswift has. Significant hull plating to make her that much stronger. Effectively, these ships were designed to, in theory, take on a dragon. The bombards were designed to withstand quite a beating, protect its crew from most types of elemental damage.
So what you're saying is we are not going into a sea war with them. So we're talking about infiltration here. So what are we talking about in sense of like crew and...
Crew-wise, it's a standard crew of 50 personnel to operate the vessel. That's cooks and first mates, second officers, and the like, as well as gunners.
Seamen, a lot of seamen on board.
Correct.
I guess.
And then depending on the outfit, they may or may not have up to 50 armed guards, of which 10 are most likely magic users and quite skilled magic users. Like I said, these ships were designed to take on dragons, and so as a result, they needed as much power as they possibly could pack. That, of course, was in the glory days of the Empire, the Order.
Interesting slip of the tongue there.
Yeah, that was in the glory days of the Order. She may not have that full complement at the moment.
But that is kind of the goal of the staff.
Correct.
So 50 and another 50 like guards, of which 10 are like priests and like arcane and divine.
Correct.
And since the merfolk are being so accommodating, could they give us a hand, do we think, with taking the ship?
I certainly think
there's still merfolk around, right? I mean, they were riding the whale, so we could just ask.
I think it would be a very useful resource.
So
launch an attack on the boat as a bit of a distraction, particularly for the magic users. Then
well, I think that might be actually a good idea as soon as we want it. I don't think we attack them and then do our thing. I think we do our thing and then let them attack, because we don't want them to be aware of our approach or any approach.
How about we just with the aid of the merfolk, we just approach underwater, and then we all attack at the same time.
Well,
We all have the capacity to infiltrate that ship in various ways, but I would argue that we ourselves get on board before any merfolk action. Whilst the merfolk are distracting the bulk of the ship's defenders, we can target our key objectives.
Which are?
Well, the captain's, Kuphet if he's there.
And the magic users.
Adressai, have you met Kuphet? I never met him.
Have I met Kuphet?
We should not underestimate him.
No, I was thinking of a physical description because we need to know what he looks like.
No.
He's a Jetty elf.
Yes.
So the most pompous, arrogant individual on the ship is probably Kuphet.
Well, there you go.
Hey.
Natural trait.
He's not wrong.
Well, yes, infiltrating the ship. I don't know how I'm... Well, wait, of course, I do know how to do that. I do know how to do that.
I'd like to go in underwater, get up to the hull of the ship. Might be able to...
Well, certainly, I would think it probably would be useful for us to approach not as a group, as it were. We each have our own ways of getting on board that ship, and that way, if one of us gets discovered, we don't all get discovered.
But then we cannot have each other's back as well.
Indeed.
Well, whoever goes... I'd say 2 groups, because then we can keep in touch with the stones as well, the communication stones.
We obviously need to regroup on board, but I think if we try to get on board en masse, our surprise will be blown.
Oh, you mean like that? Yeah. All right.
I mean, if it's still
So, we want to
unchanged, they should
infiltrate?
have a hatch in the bottom of the ship, right?
So we want to infiltrate. Is that what I'm getting? We get in there and be crew, search for our goal, and then...
We won't be able to pass ourselves off. Once we're on board, we need to just start acting.
Why
Right.
wouldn't we be able to
But the
pass ourselves
merfolk could
off?
make great use of that hatch. And bubble, 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 bubble.
Why wouldn't we be able to stay?
Whoever's been on that ship has been crewing that ship since all this started. We'll stand out. We can't expect to be able to blend in. I don't think we can count on that being... I think we should assume that someone will notice that we don't
I
belong.
was more thinking of blending out,
Blending out?
not getting detected.
Well, yes, of course.
Some of us can go invisible and others can turn. But hang on, doing magic afterwards always stops us being invisible, so that won't work. So
We just have to get on board without being
So-
detected.
We have how many captains? I know your order is kind of fuzzy with like the amount of people in charge.
Because it's an Archon's vessel, there would be the Archon who is ostensibly in the role that you guys are in, and then there would probably just be a single captain who's not even necessarily an order initiate, just an order operative.
So we're
Who's
talking about like 2 to 3 people-ish.
correct.
According to the lists, Kuphet is the only one listed as a captain on that boat.
Correct. Officially.
We
So-
should assume that he's tried to gather to him anyone who is still loyal, and we don't
Sure.
know who's on that
Sure.
list. So.
Sure.
in theory, we could find Ron Bassing Groen there as well.
Yes.
Here's another question I do not quite understand. He has an oracle?
I believe so.
Okay, moral
That's
question:
something we should be worried about once we enter.
do we kill the oracle?
I do not know the abilities of your oracles. I never needed to worry about them, so I never tried.
Neither do we, to be honest. They were kept a pretty close secret.
Well, then I will find that out right now and kind of starting to stand up.
One thing seems fairly sure, there's not been a very effective early warning system for defending ships.
Con, by the way, you know these ships better than any of us. Can the hatch be opened from the outside?
Nope.
No, it's not designed to be. You'd have to break it.
Well,
That's going to make noise.
get me to it
Also,
and
it'd
give
be
me
nice to
about
keep the
10
ship.
If you give me to it and give me about 10 minutes, I can fabricate a new door for us.
There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Although, just to
Alright.
point out, a new door in the underside of the hull would technically just be a square-shaped hole.
Again,
Yeah.
it would be nice.
But I mean, just like,
and we
I could-
probably try and impress this on our merfolk friends. It would
You
be
know,
nice to
A
keep
new hole in the door. Would be
You
enough.
know, half sunk
Keep-
ship.
Let's make a door underwater.
Yeah.
Not a little.
I mean, you could probably do that without magic, to be fair.
And we can always, don't worry, we can always, lift the ship so the water all drains out again.
Yeah.
Leave the ship.
Well, it can
Let's-
still fly.
That's
They can, yeah, sure.
yeah. There is a point beyond which that will become difficult. So let's try to
Yeah.
keep the ship in one piece as much as possible.
Sure.
Please.
I did it with
I
the
want a
double.
big boat.
Oh dear.
So here's
Speaking
another
of
question.
which,
So here's another question. How many crew do you need to operate that big boat?
Minimum operating crew of about 25.
That's people who know what they're doing, right? So we
Correct.
couldn't, with our current crew, we couldn't operate it. I mean,
Not
we have
very
like six.
efficiently.
We have six sailors, right, or 7?
and 20 Marines.
Yeah. Well, they are not. As I said, they are not
Yeah.
seamen.
No. So
Hence my earlier suggestion that we try not to kill all of the crew
yeah.
and maybe give them.
No, I just want to bring it up before we go into like
Yes.
murdering and.
If everyone's dead, we'll have to leave the ship behind, and that would be sad.
GM question, by the way. Do the merfolk have gills?
Yes.
So that's how they breathe underwater. All right. Jorik's going to stand up and, well, it sounds like we have a starting of a plan. Please let me know what happens. I need to go study a thing.
Okay.
All right.
And I go find a merfolk.
I will talk to your oracle then.
Good.
All right, you're going to go and talk to the Oracle. You're going to go and chat to the merfolk.
I'm going to ask very nicely to
The merfolk is
study
underwater
their gills.
riding the whale. How are you going to get?
Yes. I can teleport.
Underwater.
They are
Or I
moving
can-
very quickly.
Oh, we're still moving. I thought we stopped.
No, I did order us to.
Yes, you
Not-
did.
Yes.
And left before Captain Ty could say, how?
There's nobody talking to the. Oh god. Okay, then I go shout at somebody over the side of. You there? Can you take us in a circle, please?
All right, so yes, the merfolk do respond when you shout at them, Con, and they rise up, and Jorik, one of them will land on the deck and stand rather embarrassed whilst you examine their gills.
Yes. I want to see how they work. And just for the fun of it, I'm going to roll a medicine check. And that's 17.
There we go. You start to anticipate and think how the gills work. It's a little bit difficult without having modern day science with you, but you think that the gills somehow manage to transfer water and extract the element of air from water and somehow transfer that into your body. This makes
This
sense,
will be interesting.
considering
That's
that when
technically
you
right.
boil water, water turns into air. So, well, very hot, very, very, very hot air. So possibly the merfolk are boiling. You're not entirely sure as to the process, but they're somehow converting water into air.
I need an excuse to use the ability, all right?
Absolutely.
I want to sort of go up with him and sort of try to flag someone down and ask, sort of, I say, hey, could you get the ambassador, please? Jorik!
Yes? Yes.
Tell her to get the ambassador!
Thank you for the examination. Can you get your ambassador? Apparently, my friend wants to talk to him.
Ooh, if they can stop us in the water with kelp, do you think they could hold them in the water so they don't take off.
Probably.
Worth getting an
So
opinion
that's
on.
why we're going to talk to the ambassador.
All right, go get the ambassador. Thank you very much.
The merfolk looks at you. Far away. Time for ambassador. You want...
Adresa, you're gonna have to do the mind thing. He's far away.
Or just anyone that we can, ask
Someone
about.
must be in charge.
In charge here.
Yes, someone we can talk about, transporting underwater and murdering.
You want to talk to them? Come over here and talk to them, all right? I'm not your messenger boy.
Its large fish-like eyes blink once or twice. I am here.
Good.
Could he come over here so we can talk?
He moves over to you on the other side of the ship.
Hi. Sorry, I should stop yelling. Hi. We could use some help. You said you'd offer us help?
What are your instructions?
Ooh, we're on that level. Great. There's a ship in the Lost Bay that we need to murder everyone that's on.
Not everybody.
Not
Well, not
everyone.
everybody. Possibly most of the people that's on there. The bad people.
I don't know how we're going to discern which ones are the bad.
Yeah,
and which
we'll
ones-
do problems.
People who grab something to stab you are the bad people.
Yes, the ones who try to murder us. And Kuphet, who's a very bad person, who has been murdering merfolk, so you should be very into this. Yes, we were thinking about if you could possibly help some of us, not the ship itself, approach underwater, so that we can, sneak onto the ship and murder them all, and maybe you could get some soldiers to help us stab them, and they got some magic uses, so maybe, splash them into the water and drown them and stuff.
It'll be fun.
Yeah.
Transport to the bay is possible. Warriors, there are none.
Oh. They were all stormed, weren't they? Yeah.
So
Yes.
before we continue talking here, I think one thing that we should have talked about in the group meeting is when do we want to do this? I assume at nightfall, at night? I think we're probably all okay with that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm gonna make-
just so before we can start to make plans and talk with different people and then not knowing. Okay, so we talked
When are we
about
gonna
the
do
timing
this?
of this.
We're
Right, okay,
just-
so I just
Now.
want to bring everybody on the same level.
Go.
Yeah. I think that's
Okay,
some
so
people
no
are
warriors.
already on board. Like,
All
other
right,
people-
but
but-
you can get us there.
You can get us there, and secondly, you have been able to stop our ship from moving. Could you do the same to their ship to prevent them from... It's a flying ship, to prevent them from taking off. Just anchor it to the bottom or something.
Yes.
Good.
Excellent.
We're going to need that as well.
What's your name, by the way?
Nice
All right,
name.
Fiddler.
That's accurate.
Yeah, I'm a
I'm just
linguist.
going to call you Bubbles. Let's go.
What is bubbles? That's offensive. Right, thank you. We're gonna get our things together, and we'll come to you when we need to, do the thing.
He simply launches himself over the side of the ship and splashes in the water and sort of silvers off back towards the whales.
I'm
Bye.
pretty sure that name sounds very different underwater, because that was horrific.
Yes, probably. Very nice person.
Yeah.
You wanted
For
to
a
speak to
merfolk.
the Oracle Atra,
There are two people I actually want to talk to.
right?
First person before I go to the Oracle would be, what was she called? Brior?
You want to speak to the
Bjora.
barbarian
Bjora.
Bjora?
Yay!
Sure.
Danish accent.
She is busy training her marines. They are all lying on their stomachs on barrels in the hold, flailing their arms and kicking their legs.
They're trying to learn how to
Like-
swim.
What?
Cute.
Like
She turns and looks at you.
tortoise on the back?
Yeah, they do sort of look like not many of them are getting the idea of freestyle swimming.
I kind of look at it for a second and say, like, usually it's better if you actually are in the water.
Yeah, but we find they don't sink so much when we do it this way.
Give them something to hold on if they would drown.
That kind of defeats the object of the training. If you don't learn how to do it before you get in the water,
in air, I would say that is defeat in. I am here because I wanted to see, kind of cocking the head a little bit to the side, how competent you are and your men are.
In what sense of the competency are you asking? If it's mime or pantomime, I'm afraid we are not the troop you're looking for. But if it's killing, then we're definitely your group of individuals that you can rely on, yes?
That's a funny coincidence.
I'm not entirely sure what is humorous about that, but I'll take your word for it.
You say you're proficient in fighting.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, I think the Commodores probably will speak to you a little bit later, and you should get ready.
That is excellent news. I am very glad to be able to finally flex our muscles, both literally and figuratively.
Just to point this out, Atra is not super tall, not super muscular, so he's just standing there, giant of a woman who looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger with boobs.
Yeah.
And
Basically, just looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's very. It's all just muscle, but yes, yeah, we'll be ready. Sort of turns and she says, "Men, it is time for us to go into combat. Get your oil." And she looks back at you. Are you going to brief us, or must we wait for the Commodores?
Well, I'm not really fine. There's a boat in the bay, and we're gonna board it. There will be possibly enemies on board the boat that will fight back. And some of the Commodores made it very clearly to kill everybody who's fighting back. So I guess that's that. But on the other hand, people who are not fighting back are to be left alive.
I want to raise a question, if I may be so bold. At this moment in time, in this juncture, I wish to interrupt your speech and order giving. Is that appropriate, or should I hold my questions until the end?
Make it an intelligent question.
The individuals on the boat, do they believe that we are their allies or that we are their enemies?
I assume they are under orders to kill you on sight.
In that case, then, if it was me on that boat and I'd been given orders to kill anybody who comes aboard the boat, I would probably be armed, and anyone who comes towards me with a weapon, I would probably try and defend myself. Would that constitute attacking?
I'll give them a chance to surrender.
Thank you. That is all I had as a question for now. You can continue with your order giving.
Are you sure you didn't grow up in Sweden?
Pretty good.
Just to make sure you understood what I said, can you tell me what you want to do once you get on board?
Yeah, we will board. We will infiltrate anyone who poses any kind of resistance. We will immediately order them to surrender. If they don't, we will kill them.
All right. Then I don't know why you had more questions.
There is just one more question that has now popped into my mind, as a matter of fact. Do you know if there are any magic users on board?
I do not know, but it is assumed.
Yeah, that's good. No, that's fine. She turns and she looks at the men. They're all busy standing there, all busy pouring oil all over their very muscular forms, busy lathering up.
Atra
Basically.
is super not impressed by this, by the way.
Uh-huh.
And she says, "Boys, you need to pack your stones." Yeah, all right, good. Thank you. We are prepared. When do we leave?
When the sun sets.
Pack the stones. I mean, my mind is gone boggling
Yeah,
now.
They're
Right,
great
good.
balls of
Ready?
steel.
How are we getting on board this vessel?
I was waiting for this question because what Atra will do, just like open his wings.
Going
You're
to
gonna
try and
drop them
fly
off?
us across one by one? It's not very...
No. I do not know how you are getting. I assume transportations will be through water for you people. So maybe you should do some more.
Oiling?
Swim training.
Don't worry, we are ready. We have been prepared for this for quite some time. We are super excited, as they say.
I am thoroughly assured.
Yeah.
Is Mios with them?
No, there's no sign of Mios.
Well, once your people are ready, you should probably see one of the Commodores. I think Yorick or Con would be.
I have another question. It's on the point of order, I'm afraid. I have to raise it, otherwise I would be not doing my due diligence. You indicated I should approach the Commodores directly. That is not my reporting line. I should actually approach Captain Tai, considering she is the commanding officer of this particular vessel. Once she's given the go-ahead, then of course I will approach the Commodores. Unless you were saying I should circumnavigate the chain of command and thereby reduce the powers of the captain of this vessel and go directly to the Commodores. I don't mind either way, but I'm just raising this question.
I can see the headache growing. Momentum.
You'll figure it out. You are a strong, independent woman. And kind of with that, I kind of turn around and leave her to her questions because I'm done.
As
and I
you
would
are,
then go to the Oracle.
all right. As you are walking away, you hear her turn to the rest of her men. Yeah. When he turned around, I can see why the captain likes him. Very inspirational. All right. You heard it. We're going swimming. As she says that. You are going to go to the Oracle. I'm just going to go straight through to the Oracle.
Jonathan, I blame you for this. You hired these people.
You get to Lily's room, and she's in it. She is looks like she's stitching. Oh, come in, come in. Must get that squeak scene too. Oh, you. All right. I have a quick question. Are you real or just a psychic projection? Fairly certain you're real. I haven't met many psychic projections that can project that much.
Annoyance?
Well, that much. Yeah. What can I do for you?
I would like to ask you a few questions.
Yes.
You are an oracle of the former orders.
Yes.
You are aware of the situation the crew and apparently I are heading into tonight?
No, not particularly.
We are infiltrating a vessel of other operatives, formerly of the orders.
Okay.
And the assumption is, and this is something that I would like to ask you if you have concrete evidence of this, is that there is an oracle on board that vessel as well.
Do you know the name of the vessel?
Something dwarvish.
Something dwarvish.
That sounded like that to me. One of the Archons is supposedly on board.
The Stokstoyva?
Sure.
It's actually a Drakenmorian name, but sorry, your question was, is the oracle on board the Stokstoyva?
Is there still an oracle on board the Stokstoyva?
I'm afraid to say, yes, there is. And I'm also afraid to say that she's not a friend of us. We've shared a few very brief words. It is quite clear that she supports Kuphet.
All right. Then my next question is, what are your and her powers?
Do the Commodores know that you're here asking these kinds of questions?
I told them that I would be here and speak to you.
Oh. This is nothing personal, but would you mind if I just checked inside your head that you had actually done that? Right, you had. Okay, fantastic. Well, what do you mean by powers, exactly? I mean...
Well, part of the powers you already answered.
Right. Yes. Although it is it's not a passive ability, you have to understand. Well, it's kind of passive. If someone sort of walks past you, you can sort of get their surface thoughts and things. But you can only read the mind if you actually focus on the individual.
Okay, she would just right now get, and like this is like, I don't know how this works actually. So she would get that Atra is worried about her and the oracles in general.
Ah.
And he wants to know what they are doing. And she would also know that he will kill anybody who poses a threat to him immediately.
Yes. Well, okay. So, yes, to answer your question, Carla, who is the oracle of the Stokstoyva, when I reached out to her, she tried to impress upon me that it was actually the Commodores who were actually at fault and not Kuphet or the rest of the Order. Of course, I knew this not to be true because I'd obviously read them. Anyway, I digress. Carla has no ability, really, to determine what's going on around the ship unless she's actively looking. And, well, she can't do that for very long without getting tired. It's not very easy. It's not like just opening your eyes and sort of looking around. You sort of have to open up your whole.
All right.
So she's not likely to detect your approach. You just don't get within about sort of 15 feet of her or so. Otherwise, she will start to pick up on surface thoughts and things. I suppose I could do something to be helpful. I could try and bombard her with messages and things.
No, please do not do that. We want her to be as unaware to put out her feelers.
Ah, yeah. Oh, good point. Yes.
Once the fighting starts, perhaps you can do that. There's another question I have, and I assume you know this. How do you kill an oracle?
Oh, we're nothing special, I'm afraid. Certainly we can see you coming, so it's a bit tricky to get the drop on us, especially since you have to get fairly close. But, well, I suppose with a bow, we wouldn't know what hit us until it was too late. Just be very careful. If you tried to kill me and I was aware that you were trying to do it, I'd just liquefy your mind. That would be rather bad for you, obviously. Or I'd make you think that you were a goat.
No shit.
And then that would also be rather bad. So I think the safest bet would just be to not let them know what's going on. She sort of looks around. Since I'm telling you all of this anyway, the Oracle's chamber, well, let's just say that it's quite special for an Oracle. There's a reason why. Well, there's a reason why every ship has an Oracle's chamber. It sort of acts as a bit of a blanket, if you like, about the thoughts of the crew as they wander around. So pretty much as long as she's in there, she won't really know what's going on the ship. At least not unless she looks out of her window or actually opens the door. It's the only way that we can get any sleep.
I see. Now, you would then assume, as long as they are unaware of our approach, that she would be in that room.
Absolutely. Unless they've completely abandoned the ways that the order works. I mean, even I don't really venture out of my room. It just gets too noisy.
Yes. Yes. Are you sure it's not getting noisy? Anyway, can you also tell me where this room is on the Stygia?
The Stokstoyva?
Sure.
I'm not very familiar with the layout of the bigger ships. I've never been on a bigger ship. I was actually only just assigned to
So
the...
you don't know?
No, not particularly. I do know that it'll probably be, well, pretty much similar to where mine is, sort of on the edge and as far away from everyone as possible. Again, just because of the noise.
Not convenient.
Well, it's also a safety aspect as well. I mean, we can't help that we occasionally listen to what's being said, and sometimes
Right.
it's sensitive information going on.
Now, there was one more thing I would like to ask you.
Yes.
Your mind melting abilities.
Yes.
What can protect someone from those?
Well, there are certain magical items, mind shielding, for example. If I can't find your mind, I can't liquefy it. There is that, I suppose. There are certain mental training techniques that you can go through to protect your mind, but those...
Okay. So I put out the skull cap that I have and gave Adrasai and put it on.
Sure.
And say, does this work?
Oh my, yes, it does, she says as she sort of rubs her nose and a little bit of blood comes away. Yes, that's quite reflective, as a matter of fact. I didn't anticipate that. You're standing quite close to me as well. So, yes. That works perfectly. Mind shielding all the way, yes. Quite effective, actually.
Well,
I wonder what would happen if you were to put that on me, as a matter of fact. No, never mind. Don't worry.
I wish you a wonderful evening and enjoy your lunch.
Yes. How will I know when the attack starts? Only I'm rather keen to get hold of Carla. She wasn't particularly nice the last time we spoke, and I think that she's possibly quite deranged.
I assume Siket will be on board and you will be able to realize.
Ah, yes, absolutely. I'll look out for the
Just an
flame and fire.
explosion in the distance.
The large mushroom clouds on fire.
And once it started, if you want to say something to her, you should do it soon.
Good. I'm rather glad to hear that. I wanted to do my part. I've sort of felt that I haven't really contributed very much to this endeavor. At least I'll be able to do something.
Well, as I said, I wish you a nice evening. Good luck.
Yes, and to you too.
And I would then step out of her.
Sure. The rest of you getting ready for the impending battle, I suppose?
Yes. How long is it until nightfall?
4 hours.
All right.
Before we, obviously, giving it plenty of time, there will be a final briefing session with everyone, the barbarians and Lily and everyone, before we actually swing into motion, so that everyone knows exactly what's going on.
Yep.
What exactly do you want the ship to do, Commodore, once you've departed?
Well, now, am I to understand that we're not going to be able to rely on a distraction from merfolk warriors?
That's correct. Yes.
That's a pity.
They will keep the ship anchored, though, so it will not be able to take off.
Excellent. In which case, I guess it might be possible that the Windswift provides the said distraction. Since they're waiting for the Windswift anyway, then if we give them what they think they're expecting, that can only help us in our infiltration.
I understand. Do we have permission to engage the vessel at long range?
I would...
If they're not moving, they're a dead target.
Yes, I would really rather we didn't sink her, if possible.
Understood.
Obviously, within all practical limits. If it can't be done, it can't be done. However, what I'm most interested in is that you do not get shot by her. She has 2 more guns than we do.
Yes, sir.
of
And I guess what would be useful is getting the barbarians on board once we're on board, I guess. So rather than having a standoff fight, try and since she will be immobilized, try and come in at her from an angle that keeps you out of most of her firing, if possible, and deploy the barbarians. The Marines.
Captain Ty, I know you have been practicing with the gunners. How confident are you that they could take out the guns at a distance?
I would estimate that we will have a 60 to 65% chance of accurately targeting the ballistas with any efficacy at long range. We haven't had that much time to train. I wish we had.
And
We
provide...
will be on the ship.
Yeah, we will be on the ship causing a
Having
chaos.
the Windswift firing on it is risky because we could get hit by our own ballista shots.
Yes.
Put your own men into fire, barbarians and me.
So I think the Windswift's primary role should be to facilitate the Marines boarding the vessel.
Well, can the merfolk get the Marines on board? On back of the whales?
They should.
How many merfolk and whales do we have? Since some of us are using that option as well, aren't we?
Well, I can use
I know, it's a big whale.
I mean, there are 25. We had 25 Marines, right?
20.
In theory, they could all fit
20.
on the whale.
So we're
right?
talking about 25 people altogether.
Yeah.
Max.
I have a 500-foot range of hopping there.
Yeah, but do you want to do that, or would you rather just like get there without expending resources, right?
All 25 of you will fit onto the back of one of these whales. The whale is longer than the ship.
Right. That's
Good.
why I was like, the only
Fair
thing
enough.
is that the only problem that we might have is if we want to have it above or below water, right? I mean, it will take several minutes to get there by a whale because it cannot go full speed because we're on its back and then like water and drag and bad, right? And also, like, I don't know, like how we want to approach that.
Depends on if there's a full moon or not. Submarine warfare and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They did attack from the surface.
Sure, but there might be elves on board as well, right? So
True.
I guess
Kuphet is
At least one elf on board.
Yes.
No, I mean, just saying, like, this is not like a little bit different, even though it's just a limited range.
So my original intention was that I would fly there because I can do that as an animal. How are we for people breathing underwater?
Well, after having studied the merfolk, I think I can do it for myself.
I mean,
I got myself covered as well.
if it's somewhat covered and somewhat dark, right? Then it can be like the last 100 feet underwater, and it's just like a minute you can
Hold your
keep
breath.
I mean, a minute everybody can keep its breath.
Yeah.
So that's not the
A whole
problem.
minute. That's quite a long time.
Okay, so technically by the rule, everybody has like a minute plus its constitution modifier. So
Well, it's possible also that the merfolk have ways of. I mean, the ones that we watched on the whales are magic users.
right,
It's quite possible
That's
that they have ways of allowing guests to breathe underwater. But
sure.
They
And
also might. No.
Wait, if they have magic users, they still, in theory, have warriors.
I mean, it depends, right?
Mm,
Here's another question I would have.
Would you call Adresai a warrior?
Well, I wouldn't. I guess they are a
So
bit
here's
more
another
specific
question
than
I would have specifically for Con. I would like to get like the layout as best as your ability, specifically where the
Yeah, so that's good for you reminded me, because what I would do is to the best of my abilities sketch out for all to see a diagram of the ship where I think everything would be under normal circumstances.
do I have a book on
As-
the ships?
Do you have a book on the ships?
Yes, on like the ships of the Order and.
That information is highly, highly classified.
Ah, yeah, fair enough.
Biora raises a question. You want us to attack the ship, I understand this. Where exactly do you want us to hit now that I see the layout of the ship? Is there a specific area you want us to target, or is it just general chaos and mayhem?
Guns first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, All right.
Take out the ballistas so they can't threaten the Windswift. After that, just go through it deck by deck, see who surrenders and who does not. If you see a pompous elf, try and capture him if you can.
No, I'd say try and kill him, but okay. But
We might need to speak to him before.
I have questions for Kuphet. It would be useful if we could capture him.
What
Actually,
questions do we have for the man? He works for the dragon.
Atra,
Just die.
the thing you did with the commander in Daide, would that work on an elf as well?
Depends.
It depends.
It depends.
All right. So, capture him alive it is.
I need to be there for 1. I need
Yes.
to be the one who kills him for 2.
I have learned to use.
And he needs to have a soul.
I can only do it once, but it's telekinesis. I could make sure he landed in front of you.
Well, if we capture him alive, Atra can do whatever he wants with him. So our primary goal is to get him alive so we can question him.
I will focus on the mind melding oracle that will kill everybody
Yes.
if she's aware.
Sounds good.
Oracles can mind melt?
Melt minds, not mind meld. Not a Vulcan.
Then where will you be, Commodore Con and Commodore Atrasai?
Around, helping.
I'll be, I guess, dealing with any magic users on board the boat.
Yes, I'll be helping as much as I can.
So how many of you are going to take the whale?
If you guys
All of us, I suppose.
So that actually depends for me.
All right.
So from the layout, now that we have it sketched out, here's my question. Lily said that the Oracle's quarters is where we right now assume that she will be at, is a little bit more outside, ergo as in to the edge of the boat, of the ship. Did hers, or does this one specifically, that's actually what I'm interested in, have windows?
They do. Unlike, well, I mean, the Windswift has one level of windows around the captain's quarters, but this one has 3 decks of windows.
Sure. And I mean, usually windows on ships are fairly small.
Yeah, these are lead-lined, quite large windows.
Okay,
designed
so
to
lead-lined in the sense of I can move through there if I want to, or lead-lines in the sense of this.
No, you could quite easily move through them. They are fairly robustly made, obviously, but it is still glass. I mean,
yeah, sure. But I mean, it really depends on how thick the bars in
Correct.
between, right? That's why I asked. It's not like, oh, this is actually a grate with like inlaid glass, just like slam in front of it. Like
No. They are quite large,
Then I honestly don't really care.
I can do either. If you need support, John, if you say Con, I will go with you. Otherwise, I will go with the whales.
Well.
I would say that the aft superstructure is probably your easiest infiltration place. It's the highest concentration of windows. They're cabins. People will either be at rest or not there.
The ship suddenly stops moving forward, and the merfolk appears on the deck, having climbed up the side of it. The whale is ready for our transportation.
Right. Let's go.
Is it time?
The sun is setting.
How many healing potions do we have to spread out?
Oh,
I
that's
think
so
everybody
fair.
had 4.
I am still quite squishy.
Okay, so how many days were we at sea but from Daide?
3.
2.
2. You're quite right. 2.
No, it's the 3rd, right?
Today is the
So
3rd.
that means 1, 2, 3.
I only have 2 left.
I hit 3.
I don't think I have any.
I can give each of you 2.
Give us a cat 4. I can hold on to my 3.
Okay, whichever.
I'm pretty nimble. I can
2 potions.
won't expect to get hit.
Okay, so I have a few as well. So Tobias take 1, I take 1 then from the 2 that I get.
Sure.
To go.
I think what will happen is, I guess, if you're going to be approaching from the surface, I will fly there. If I see anything that means the entire operation is foobar, that puts me in a position to warn you off.
Yeah, so you fly like 30 seconds ahead or whatever.
I will turn into an owl.
Well, seagull might be better, right?
Not at night.
Yeah, night owl.
No, seagulls sleep.
Well, but seagulls... No.
Yeah.
I
You,
presume
Transform.
Right, we wait for nightfall and then we go.
Yeah, night is
cast-
falling.
Mage
Okay.
armor on myself and some
And-
cat before we go.
Jorik's
Please don't
gonna
die.
use Tough Hide. He's gained limited shape-shifting abilities, so basically he gains a leathery, thick skin. It gives me 2 AC.
Nice. Then,
I'm wearing the cloak that Atra gave me.
sure.
Mm.
The merfolk jumps into the water and the whale slowly rises out.
wait.
You can see its long spine reaching the surface of the water.
I had a question for the merfolk.
Well, he's riding on top of the whale, so you can call out to him.
I jump onto the whale, and
Well, yeah.
before I slam onto the back of the whale, I just flare out my wings for a second to kind of buffer.
Land. Nice.
I guess I climb carefully down onto the whale and then make my way up to the merfolk guy.
Yes.
And just I noticed you're using magic. What is the nature of your magic?
Water.
I don't understand the question.
What I mean, like, okay, so you can obviously revitalize the whales in some ways because we've seen that. But what else can you do? Do you have any defensive spells up your sleeve?
The oceans and its creatures are ours to command.
Interesting. So if, say,
Can you bless us with Poseidon's will? She's
He
If,
looks
say, we
over at
wanted-
you.
Poseidon?
Will.
well, I mean, it's just okay. So you got the whale, but what else could you summon to create a nice big distraction, for example?
In this area, halibut.
Me
I think we're going to
tempered
get about
one.
as much use as we're going to get out of them with this.
Okay, never mind. I
There are 20 cannonballs that slam into the water as the barbarians attempt to dive over the edge of the ship. And
And 15 of them drown immediately.
yeah, thankfully they're right next to the whale, so there's lots of slipping and sliding as Biora climbs into place.
Yeah,
When
it sucks if you're all oiled up and you cannot get a grip, right?
as
So
she
Sorry, carry on.
as she locks her knees into place around the whale's spine, the whale does sort of shiver slightly from the sheer amount of pressure that she exerts. And
I just assumed this. She's just like squishing, and as she's squishing, she just like pushes herself off because
yeah, she is commenting about, oil is not very good in the water. There's a note taken. Yeah, hold on, boys, she says as she calls out.
Good luck, everyone.
Where is Mios? I thought he had transferred over to the.
He's on the ship.
He's on
is
the.
he or
Are
is he
you
on
asking Biora that question?
Yeah.
He has asked for personal time, so it has been granted, owing on the fact that he was a very diligent student. I cannot say more than that.
Look, he's quite young. I think it's better that he's not involved in formal combat.
Yeah, I
Anyway.
don't think, however, it's healthy for a young man to live in a barrel, but that's just me. As she
Living in a
says
barrel?
that, the entire whale submerges below the waterline. And as she does so, the whale just vents out these massive bubbles from its blowhole. And the merfolk seems to wave his hands through them. As he does that, they turn into this one long bubble which just floats out behind her and slowly pops over each of you, creating this very breathable atmosphere. It does smell slightly fishy, but
Yeah, that's
And warm.
breathe. And so you surge towards the distant Stokstoyva.
As we're getting there, I would grab around my amulet
Sure.
and break one of the pearls, and the people who are with me would probably hear and perhaps unnerving, perhaps completely fine, like a as then shadows start to coalesce around my body.
And on that note, we'll be back again next week when the adventures of the Windswift continue.
Mm.
Thank you for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed today's show. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you can get alerted to all sorts of things. Goblin Bell will let you do that too. If you don't join us for the post-game review, which will happen straight away. If you don't do all of that, we'll see you next week. Okay, review time. Lots happening today. I think Dice of Destiny says it is number 3. That is you, Tobias. Your thoughts on today's episode?
A good episode, actually, I think. Lots of planning, lots of plotting, preparing, but it never felt like it was stale in any way. It felt like we got things done, even though it was a lot of talking. And I don't have much to add except for the fact that Jorik now has the ability to limit. He has limited shapeshifting abilities, and I needed a way to get that into roleplay because I don't like just I know this now. So that's why I did the whole episode with Con and the mangled wings and studying the merfolk, etc. And I want to give a shout out to Adresai, Jenny. I absolutely loved your roleplay today. I could almost feel how stressed and sleep deprived Adresai was. You made an excellent portrayal of that frantic way of being. I really liked it.
Thank you.
There you go. There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lovely. Saket?
Well, at least she wasn't stuffing her face for the whole episode this time. She's been using her brain. But yeah, very interesting, very informative. We'll have to see where it's all going to go and hope that we don't get squished in this particular endeavor, because
That would be
just
very,
the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adversary?
Yes, I had a lot of fun. I mean, Adversary is usually a bit frantic, sort of a little intense, but just honestly, just getting to crank that up and just be a parody of yourself is always fun. Just let's go over the top for a couple of moments. And it was just such a great just realization when Lily just like started talking about Argyle and just like, what? And it was just, and it makes perfect sense. And like she can't really tell the difference, and that's something that we sort of gone into with Jurk's character and stuff. And it tends to blur when you're a psychic and stuff. I think there was sort of a really interesting world flavor thing. I really enjoyed that. And otherwise, I just thought that like, well, we're gonna have a lot of action next episode, but I just feel like we had a lot of character actions this episode. We had a lot of just great interactions. We had a lot of like Atra showing a bit of soft side, which was really nice to see.
Don't tell anybody.
Never mentioned. And I kind of like, you know, Atra and Adresai sort of coming together a bit and sort of not friends, but in a sort of understanding of each other's needs, in a sense. Like, I'm willing to give you what you need and you help me in return, sort of thing. And I think that's also fun to see it start to evolve.
Absolutely. Atra, you were quite busy actually in terms of getting information and talking to NPCs. It's quite a different side, as Jenny was saying.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned this before, that he, in contrast to the character that I played before, is a more meticulous, kind of careful plan first, in the sense of like trying to weigh the danger and not run into it straight ahead.
Someone actually shared that episode where Blackston just runs into the ice cave on Discord recently, and I thought that's very different from Atra.
Exactly. And obviously there's a few open questions, at least specifically for him. I try to kind of, what I try to do this episode is like ask questions which everybody except him probably should know, but we as players probably don't know. Like kind of try to kind of bridge the gap there a little bit to get like information that I thought was important for everybody to somewhat be on the same page with. And obviously the oracles are a big kind of question mark, so I thought I want to kind of specifically, like metagaming wise, specifically after what Jenny and Lily went through like 5 minutes earlier, I was like, well, I probably should check up on that. And yeah, I mean, I had a ton of fun role playing that out, because he's still like a somewhat creepy, like not necessarily like
Pretty creepy smile you've got going there for him.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun. I mean, talking with the barbarians, not necessarily his position to do, but I thought he just wanted to check in and see what they're doing, and well, probably shouldn't have done that. But my most favorite moment, my favoritist moment of the session was certainly to the roleplay with Jenny, or Adressai for that matter, because it showed also like a different kind of side, as you said. And I think that is so important with role playing, because so often you see like you think about your character in like a very one-dimensional way, even maybe two-dimensional, but you really play it one-dimensional. And when you can kind of role play in like a more three-dimensional, like faceted way, I think that's so great. And I think this session, like I could do it with my character a little bit. I think this session, Adressai could do it a little bit more specifically last session, I think, than this session. But that's just like how the circumstances kind of turned out. And I think that's super interesting. I think that's why, even though like plot-wise and fighting-wise, not much happened this session, I think that's why it was, at least for me, very like, and Tobias said this as well, very like fun to play, right, because you could see a lot of things happening interpersonal wise, and I think that was quite great. And yeah, I mean, he feels like Adressai, Atra feels honestly like somewhat indebted to Adressai, because she gave him the information he was searching for how long, like years and years, and he didn't really kind of gain any traction on that. So that's like is some like
almost respect, or
yeah, well, yes, I guess respect, but as I said, like he feels somewhat indebted, and that's something that he's used to feeling towards people. So that, on the other hand, which is actually something that's interesting for me, I don't know where this is leading specifically with what Jonathan or what Con offered him, because that is a tempting offer. That is really, really a tempting offer for him. But right now, that's not, we haven't landed yet. We haven't come to that decision yet. But, well, it's going to come up soon. So
who knows? Con, quickly your thoughts?
Well, I guess for continuity, following on that point, because obviously there's been a bit of tension between Con and Atra. But, you know, it would be, given Con's character, it would be out of keeping if he didn't, if once he learned more about Atra's circumstances, that didn't reach him on some level. So I felt it was important that this gesture was made from that perspective. Otherwise, for Con, he's actually kind of just focusing on the mission at hand, because he's still trying to wrap his head around what he just found out from the merfolk.
That little tidbit.
Yeah.
That wasn't really part of his figurings on the capacities of the druids, and now he's kind of like, well, if they can do that, then why don't they just kill all the dragons? So anyway, he's a bit blown away. and not sure what he's a part of now on that front. But still, there's this primary mission we're kind of locked in on for him. It's like we have to move, and we have to keep moving. If we delay or we take the pressure off, then
lose steam.
We'll be dead, basically. Kind of surprised we're not dead already.
Lovely.
Yeah, so
there we go. All right. Well, thank you for staying with us for the post-game review. I certainly have. I think I have way too much fun playing the NPCs, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's just so much fun to be able to do that, I suppose. Anyway, yes, we will catch you next week when we return with more adventures of the Windswift. Until then, thanks for watching. Goodbye.